So I think we do Q&A right now. I'm like dying, sweating. Jesus. Questions? Robin, what's up?
Hey, great job.
Thank you.
What is something, based on our own questions this morning, what's something that you haven't mastered yet that you really want to in the next couple of years?
I didn't even know the question. That's a good question. Something I haven't mastered. I don't know. I still overall, I struggle with, when it comes to lettering specifically, one thing I really struggle with is fluidity in letter forms and to be more expressive. So it's great. I know I keep talking about Kyle. I'm sorry, Kyle. Kyle just did a workbook for expressive lettering, expressive type, and how to make things feel a little more fun and playful and get a little more illustrative when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I really struggle with that. Like even in my promo piece for Creative Mornings, I did a new style of lettering, and I tried to do a rolling bass line where the letters were moving individually, and I just couldn't do it. I got to the end, and I was like, no, let's put it on an arc, because that's what I do. But even a little bit of mixing up to change this two-tone form that I did was still an extra step that I'm still trying to work on. Answer? Question? Yeah.
It's not following up on that a little bit. You've done lots of different letters, lots of different media, from grass and stuff to walls and painting stuff. Going forward, what's the project and what's the sort of message that would just excite the heck out of you?
Well, I'd love to think that what I'm doing right now is what I really love, and it's really exciting the hell out of me. It's the flower stuff, the floral stuff. I love flowers. So making anything out of flowers just makes me really fucking happy. And so the only thing holding me back from doing it is the cost of flowers. So anybody knows people who want to pay for flowers in bulk? Because I'm gonna let you know, roses by the dozens are not cheap.
Costco.
Well, so I also do that. I also talk to flower shops and they let me buy broken ones, but that's still expensive. So I'm looking for a sugar mama essentially that pays for flower. Sugar company.
I think there are some actually on the south side.
Okay, see, we gotta talk into that. But I've been doing more photographic pieces, and like I said, incorporating flowers and incorporating whatever I can to make type out of is really exciting to me. I've been doing a lot of it lately, and I'm actually giving a talk later this year about specifically that. So it's I'm very much immersed into what I want to be doing and in the future. So I'm really hoping to carve out a little bit of a niche in there. I want to be the guy, if you want to make something out of flowers, I'm the one you call. I know it's very, very random, but I want to be that person. Does that make sense? Good question. Anybody else? Yeah.
My question is, a lot of artists face insecurity, so at what point would you encourage someone, now's the time to start teaching someone? Because you might not feel this massive your craft, you want to share it with others, but you still feel like you have insecurities from that.
Yeah, so the question was, sorry, I didn't repeat the questions, but the question was at what point when you're learning something new, do you begin to want to try to teach it or able to teach it, I guess, right, to other people. So I think that kind of happens organically, it happens by itself. At first, what I suggest is always to share whatever it is that you want to share and to give those insecurities if you're comfortable with them at the beginning. When I would share lettering pieces at the very beginning, I would be like, oh, this is something I did. I know that it's not great, and you kind of open up your dialogue. I'm talking specifically to Instagram and Dribbble. I'm sharing this piece. I know it's not perfect. Feedback is always appreciated, right? And then so people chime in with a better tone, right? You maybe fix this letter, or fix this. And over time, what you start to learn is those comments will switch to, oh, you've done, this is really good, or I love the way that this looks, or whatever. They go from giving feedback to giving, or constructive criticism to giving positive feedback on whatever it is that you're creating. And then once you get to that point, I feel like now is the level in which you can teach how you did that. Not necessarily in a university setting, not necessarily in a workshop, but it could be just trying to teach it to someone who is doing something similar or who wants to do something similar that's close to you. Does that make sense? Sorry, I gotta look over here. I forget, I'm gonna just face this way. No.
So you obviously have created an awesome niche in the world. I know you've digitized some of your things, but some of the print and traditional media.
Yeah.
In a creative world that keeps pushing digital is where it's at. Where do you see yourself kind of fitting into that flow of creative work moving forward?
I'm hoping that I'm always just creating assets that get turned into those other digital pieces. Like I've always like stayed clear of any kind of like web design, UX. Like my head doesn't even think in RGB. Like I don't fucking get it. I'm like CMYK all day. That's a good slogan. But I'm hoping that like people will see the beauty in these things and want to use them as, you think about like digital things, like use them as the primary focus of a website or use it as whatever. So not necessarily that I have to begin to create things for those. So, I mean, right now I get like people a lot of times reach out for like social posts, which eventually they kind of sometimes turn into advertisements. And even though I'm still learning to make sure I write those contracts properly so they don't just let them turn into advertisements without paying me more, but like to create pieces that can go in multiple directions. Yeah. Over here, and I'll come back to you because I see that hand. But good question over here. I just want to make sure there's no questions over here. Okay, because I like never I never look to that side. So.
Going back to our question about knowing when to share, when to start teaching, kind of how do you know when to, since it's a craft, right? Talking about, using your craft and crafting it, but how do you know when to make it like a business? How do you know, when do you get that sort of feeling like that confidence to collaborate with others?
Yeah, the business side of it I think is a little different because I think at a certain point you don't really ask for people to start paying you money at the beginning when you're starting to create something new, and they damn sure don't want to pay you. But at a certain point, people will start to reach out to you for custom commissions, right? For whatever it is that you're doing. If you're cross-stitching like I was probably doing back when I was 12, if I had Instagram, I would have probably been killing it, and people would have been reaching out, wanting custom commission cross-stitch. So I think at that point, whenever you start to get those inquiries for doing more of it, that's when you can start to see yourself possibly turn it into a business. But I mean, that's a really hard part, and it's something I think that every freelance designer or freelance artist or whatever small business owner, like they understand the difficulty in that. You not only have to be good at it and have to be very savvy at like the business side of things, but you have to be like ready for it when the opportunity comes. It's I don't know. For me, when I like left for freelancing, Vince is smiling because I did another for me. When I left to begin freelancing, it just over time I started getting so many requests to do certain things, and then my time became a little difficult to manage that and manage work. So it was like, which one do I want to do? Do I make this thing happen? Do I go all in, or do I have to just put it to the side because I can't do it anymore? So, and I guess it's probably different with every craft. Like some things could be something that you could always continue to do on the side and do at night and in the evening, but it just, for me, I struggled with the burnout, fatigue of doing things at night and staying up till 10, 11 o'clock every single night after work. So that's when I let it take over.
Thinking a little bit about like a 30-day sprint, how did you kind of maintain that motivation throughout and not really fatigue in terms of like posting every day, being consistent with that for all 31 days?
Yeah, I will let you know that I've tried to do 2 other daily projects. Both have failed. I think I got lucky in the first one. It was the perfect storm of things for me. But it's a difficult thing to be really dedicated, but you have to put yourself on that deadline. And I think on any of them that I did, I would always, in the first post, like tell everyone, like I'm doing a 30-day project, keep me honest. And then so you end up doing this thing where if you miss a day, you're like, sorry, I didn't post yesterday. Here are 2 today to make up for it. But it gives you that personal accountability, even though it's with a bunch of random people. You might not know very many of them, but it gives you a little bit to hold on to. I said I would do it every day. People expect it every day, even though they don't necessarily. So I need to deliver it every single day. So that's what I did. But like I said, in the other 2, I struggled with those. 2 more questions. So one here and then one there.
Have you balanced work for you and work for other people?
I think that's really difficult. I like to prioritize me over everybody else. Like I think we should all do that. Just like we want to do it. And I've actually gotten into this kind of problem sometimes where I know that a client needs something and they've emailed me about it and I'm in like a middle of a shoot for a personal project, right? Like I'm on Instagram stories. I'm like actually posting and sharing things right now for a personal project and their project is on the back burner. But it's about setting expectations, I think, from the beginning, right? Like, they know that I've never been the kind of designer who really flourished when you say, hey, I need something by tomorrow, 8 a.m., and you give it to me at 4 p.m. Like, I really got to fight you on that so we can push it back, and so I can like have some time to do it. So in all of my client interactions, I try to make sure that they understand that like I have things going on, and maybe my schedule is not packed with paid projects, but for me, it's always packed with lots of different things, and there are plenty of personal projects. So I put my own personal projects, like shoots that I do, especially floral or things like that. I put them on my schedule, and I say, oh, I'm going to shoot something on Tuesday, and like it's on my calendar for Tuesday. So like I don't schedule any calls for Tuesday, or I make sure that no one else can interfere with that time. But there are times in which I have projects where or I have a personal idea, something clicks, and I'm like, oh, I should shoot this right away. And sometimes it's just a matter of you have to work a little bit later in order to do it, or hang around a little bit longer in order to take care of that client work. And then last one.
Obviously you're sharing your craft right now, and you're teaching it at the hall. What if your students actually shared with you, and what have you learned from there?
Ooh, that's good. I've learned from my students that they are very, very talented, and they take things in really quickly. There are certain students who, like, from the very beginning, you see they just get it. And next thing you know, they're looking at inspiration, they're looking at other pieces, and they're looking past what you gave them. And that is, like, to me, that's the biggest thing for myself creatively. I try to go and look for inspiration, look for things outside of whatever the norm is, and look for off-the-wall inspiration where you're walking around the city and you're looking for something, looking at a lettering piece or looking at something carved into stone and figuring out how you can apply this to whatever it is that you do. So this idea, I think that what they teach me is that you don't have to be limited to whatever someone gives you, right? Like they don't have to be limited to this packet that I print out for them every class and say, hey, this is your homework assignment. They start to pull in references and to make things that feel unique to them, which is, I think, amazing. So, I think that's it, right? Ooh,